nationally the last couple of weeks has been that there's now a top three of the former vice president and senators Sanders and Warren. Do you buy that, or are you part of that top tier?
Oh, well, of course I'm part of the top tier, and we all know that. And this is a campaign that has to be about each person working hard and earning the support. I plan on earning the support of each and every voter.
The media now.
Interesting. Unfortunately for Kamala Harris, the polling doesn't quite bear that out. I love the, no, you think you're a top tier candidate? No. Well, unfortunately for Kamala Harris, the polling is not on her side on this particular issue. However, happy birthday to one Bernie Sanders. And even from the standpoint of polling, first four states, new polling shows that Bernie Sanders is in contention to win three, or at the very least close to winning in striking distance, three of that four. Polling. I like covering polling. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, find yourself coming back here often, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support PayPal patron. And let's get into some polling news. So CBS has come out. CBS has come out with a new poll. Kamala Harris, calling herself a top tier candidate. Let's see if the polling bears that out. Iowa, first state, Joe Biden, 29%. Bernie Sanders, 26%. Within the margin of error, 3%. Elizabeth Warren, 17%. Not close, Buttigieg, 7%. Nowhere close, Kamala Harris, 6%. Ugh. I don't know what her definition of top tier is, but not in Iowa. What about New Hampshire? Elizabeth Warren, 27%. Joe Biden, 26%. Bernie Sanders, 25%. Buttigieg, 8%. Kamala Harris, 7%. Again, doesn't look like a top tier candidate, but Bernie Sanders is within 2 percentage points of Warren within the margin of error. All three of these people at this point are in contention for winning in New Hampshire. Nevada, Bernie Sanders, 29%. Joe Biden, 27%. Elizabeth Warren, 18%. It seems that Biden and Sanders are in a two-way fight for Nevada. If you remember last time around, Sanders was cheated out of the delegates from Nevada, so this will be one of the states to watch. And O'Rourke has edged his way into this. But look at Kamala Harris. She's upped her game to 6%. Good on you, Kamala. South Carolina, nobody is even close. Joe Biden, 43%. That is obscene. Bernie Sanders, 18%. Elizabeth Warren, 14%. And Kamala Harris, still lurking about the single digits at 7%. With Buttigieg at 4%. The margin of error in this poll is 4 points. That's somewhat dicey, but is what it is. 43% is a crushing lead, however you want to count it. But everything else, this one, Sanders the lead. Sanders within 2 points of the lead. Sanders within 3 points of the lead. Sanders is well positioned in all of these states. And again, take polls with a grain of salt. We still have a ways to go before Iowa. Anything can happen between then, and I strongly suspect that Biden is going to flame out before we get to that point. That said, even now, where we are, he's well positioned. And if you look at the national polls that come out, again, against Trump, he is well positioned. And not just well positioned against Trump. Like, If you remember, when he was running against Clinton, there would be national polls, and national polls would show Sanders winning or being even. But then you would get to the state level, he would be losing in a particular state or barely breaking even, some to that effect. The national polls are one thing, the state levels are where it's won. So regardless of what things look like on a national poll level, even though Sanders may be doing really well and everything else, or Biden may be flaming out or whatever, you still have to win that stuff on the state level. And some states are going to be more advantageous to candidates than others. You also have this thing of momentum that when candidates win states, wins beget wins. All of that stuff comes into effect. So polls have to be taken with a certain degree of salt, especially national polls. Local polls in the states themselves have a little bit more clarity. And you can only really see that when you see trends, not necessarily what the numbers are. The numbers are, important, but the trends are more important because that you get to see movement for a candidate or against a candidate or whether a candidate is standing even. However you want to look at it, I would wager that you would prefer to be in Bernie Sanders' position here than Kamala Harris's. In all of these races, with the exception of one, he is in contention, either in the lead or in contention to be in the lead. Fucking A. I'm not going to keep this long. I just wanted to point out that part. And here's one more thing. Sanders versus Trump. 13 points, 11 points, 15 points, 13 points, 13 points, 4 points, 2 points, 2 points, 3, plus 16, plus 8. And by the way, the plus 3 was in a Fox News poll, which makes it even that much funnier. I guess my point is, it's not just Sanders doing well within the context of the election. It's also Sanders doing well in the context of lining up against Trump. There was a report that came out in the Daily Beast today where Trump was concerned about Sanders. I think he is shaking his boots on Sanders. And he was making people realize, look, I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think it is in order to beat Sanders. And I have to be honest, at this point, if Sanders takes down 20 other Democrats in the primary, that's starting to look a lot in the way that Trump took down all of the challengers in the Republican Party. All of them saying there's no way for him to win. All of the polling saying, maybe Trump wins. It's close. It's barely close, but nobody actually believing it. And what do you know? He wins. If Sanders takes down 23 other Democrats, the laughing would stop. He needs to get through the primary, and he needs to win. And whether or not the polling lines up like this in reality once he gets into the election or not is unclear. Clinton, at this point, had a lead in double digits over Donald Trump. We don't need to know we don't need to say what happened to Clinton. She lost badly. It was brutal. It was brutal. Leave it here. Sanders, though, doing his thing. And it's like, hey, that guy needs to drop out the race. I love the fact that somebody says, hey, Sanders needs to just drop out and support Warren. Oh, by the way, this is always awesome to see in the print. Warren and Clinton talk behind the scenes as 2020 race intensifies. Why? Because when you're looking at polls like this, you have a split electorate. It's very possible that all of these guys ends up with various states, in which case, depending on how the electorate breaks, you have a split election, which means all of those superdelegates come back into force. And if you don't believe that Hillary Clinton still has sway within the Democratic Party, you've lost your mind. She is backing Warren. She owes Warren because Warren backed her in 2016. Despite the ideological differences, these two have stayed in close contact. And part of that close contact will be to use Hillary Clinton to help her line up those superdelegates in the second round. You thought Hillary Clinton was gone. No, she's back and she's working with Warren. Congratulations. If that doesn't give you pause, nothing will. And by the way, they were trying to keep this secret. I wonder why. The reason they're trying to keep it secret is because Warren doesn't need Clinton to be out stumping for her. What Warren needs is Clinton to marshal the support of the superdelegates and the other people in the Democratic establishment to back her in the second round. She doesn't want Clinton out there. She wants Clinton behind the scenes. But yeah, she's totally trustworthy. Totally trustworthy. Totally on that level. Like and share.